socialist omega lol, socialism omega lol, so omega lol socialism. Anyway, we're gonna watch this Wall Street Bets versus Wall Street Jubilee middle ground because I think it's gonna be actually good.
So I can't repeat, Ben, I love what you represent. I love it. But the fact of the matter is, like, your altruism doesn't actually hit the masses.
Mm-hmm. I'm in the LSF in 2 days.
Large institutional investors have lost tens of millions of dollars.
The assumption that the Reddit crowd were idiots is incorrect.
Why do you think this is important, what's happening?
There's an enormous sort of crowdsourced effort to identify forms of corruption. In this case,
I mean, this video is terrible because like it's like both parties on this video I think are mega cringe. Like the Wall Street Bets Andes who like think that they're doing like revolutionary praxis are fucking annoying. The Wall Street Andes who are like demons are also annoying as well. But the Wall Street Bets Andes at least are like more like common folk. So I guess I still end up siding with them a little bit, but let's watch.
It's not really sticking it to the man. It's ill-informed discussions that are being had, creating risk.
This is not going to end well when it ends, and it will end very badly for the public.
They shouldn't be just willy-nilly distributing that to the four corners of the wind because somebody at their barbershop told them that they were going to make $1 million off of GameStop.
I think there's an assumption there that we aren't as astute just because we don't have whatever quote-unquote certification you want to give someone.
I'm always curious how people buy into systems broadly, especially systems like Wall Street Bets, which is so based in things like racism.
I know there's a lot of leftists or quote-unquote leftists on Wall Street Bets, I know.
And ableism.
But there's also some people that are doing very interesting deep dive financial evaluations. So to kind of put everyone in one basket, I feel like is a little unfair.
The surrounding message is so much more important than the money that I could be putting in my pocket right now. So I'm still holding diamond hands.
I hear him chat to the noise, move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys, man so tough, but must keep walking. Act like fire on the pun.
Why are they playing fucking like British? What is this called again? It's like British trap, but I forget the word for it. Drill. Yeah, they're playing fucking bruv drill music.
What's up? I'm Sade. I started my career at Goldman Sachs before moving to an alts firm in LA.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Danny. I worked in finance. I'm also been an entrepreneur for the past 10 years.
My name is Mike. I am the CSO of a CPG startup.
Hey guys, my name is Ramneek. I'm a registered investment advisor and real estate broker.
Hey guys, my name is Zach. I'm in the medical device sales
It's grime, not drill. Okay, whatever. Shut up, music nerds. No one cares.
space, and I also host a podcast called DIY Wealth.
my name's Ben. I'm the proud owner of several shares of GameStop, and I'm hodling until the squeezes squoze.
Oh. Bro, if you're an adult,
I
oh
have
God.
invested in meme stock. Come forward if you agree.
I love that the black lady that works at Wall Street was like, man, Wall Street Bets is so ableist and so racist. It's like, dude, you literally work at Wall Street. Like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, what?
It might be a little obvious why we invested in the meme stock, but I definitely want to hear why you did.
Yeah, I think if you think about meme in a different way, right? So like I've invested in stocks that were like memes on my desk. Yeah, like I know this isn't going anywhere, like this is kind of a joke. I own some like random B2C companies that like I would consider like this is like a joke, a meme stock. Nothing quite to this level.
Things do trade on social sentiment now. If you got a couple bucks that you're willing to go broke on and watch it drive all the way down to zero, why not? You know, throw the dice on a couple of these where, you know, Elon
Yes, it's gambling.
Musk says something and they just launch.
I think that's like something that I have qualms with in the market as a whole right now. Like if you're treating a little bit of your portfolio like that now, even if you have the overall sentiment like market goes up, like stocks go burr, you have to still be able to have that mindset of like this theoretically like worst case scenario could go to zero.
As far as meme stocks go, I'm drawn to nailing naked short sellers. That's my whole agenda.
That's what I get annoyed by. Like this notion that, I mean, I don't know how the fuck this happened, but there's like a justice slant associated with capital ownership now, which I find particularly strange. Like, I never really thought that it was going to last as long. Like, it has holding power. I know anarchists on my timeline that are like, I'm hodling to the moon. I know a lot of anarchitties that are supposedly leftists who are just like, we're actually taking down venture capital and beating venture cap and hedge funds. Like, or not venture capital, hedge funds. I don't know why I said venture capital. I used the wrong terminology. Now everyone's going to come jump down my fucking throat and be like, it's not, you don't even know what you're talking about. I acknowledged it and I immediately corrected it, but it doesn't matter. It is odd. Yeah, I told you my voice is going to crack a lot like this because
motivational speech for working out, please.
It's literally wealth redistribution. I don't know what the problem is. It's not. It kind of isn't though. Like, anyway, let's keep going, and I'll talk to you guys about it.
Stick to the man.
It's just insane to me that for 4 decades the SEC has failed to get control of naked short selling as an illegal practice. So the only meme stocks I'm interested in buying are the short squeeze stocks, like GameStop and AMC.
So yours is like a spite investment.
I only have GameStop right now. It's a spite investment, absolutely.
One of the things that Ben said that kind of piqued my interest is the idea that you're doing this to stick it to the man. I love the sentiment. I love what you want to accomplish.
Like, people act like you're. People act as though, and I said this before. I said this when this whole thing first popped off. Like, people act like this is all, the average Joe layman day trader pushing back against like the institutions and actually fighting against hedge funds. When in fact, like, what? So other hedge funds bought into it. Like, you're literally, all you're doing is still, pushing capital in the direction of one hedge fund over another. And that hedge fund is probably short squeezing some other shit too. So your hyper focus is on GME and AMC, great. But ultimately you're, if you think that you're like taking down Wall Street, you're fucking wrong. You're literally just making shit up now. It's fucking over Melvin Capital. That's the point. I mean, yeah, fuck Melvin Capital. Sure. Are you sure you're upset you didn't buy GME? Why would I be upset? I don't fucking make money off of I don't have a credit card.
But the thing that I kind of would push back with is the fact that the man is also winning.
I agree with you that there's going to be big guy firms that profit off of the GameStop phenomenon, but I suppose as long as at least one naked short seller gets their comeuppance, I feel accomplished.
Well, and at the end of the day, too, on the forum, there were individuals that were pulling out and saying, because of this money that came into my world, I was able to pay for cancer treatment for my mother and things like that. Yeah.
But what about the people who are dying of like crazy losses? I feel like for every meme millionaire that Wall Street Bets makes,
I'm not talking about even millionaires though,
But it's non-verified, non-backed up information. Granted, Reddit has their thumbs up platform, and the anonymity that they provide their users does provide a level of access.
Okay, every time a Wall Street person opens their mouth, I lose it though, and I immediately find myself firmly planted on the Wall Street Bets side because it's like. Because again, it's speculative. It's purely based on speculation. But I mean, it's just gambling. It's the difference between fucking playing the roulette table versus blackjack. Also, guy on Wall Street saying, "What about all the people that are going bankrupt?" The fuck do you mean, dude? You're on Wall Street. What are you talking about? It feels like. Are they unaware? I feel like there's so much. This reminds me of the execution squad strategy. Like, there's so much division of labor and these sorts of fields on like Wall Street that like people don't recognize the impact that their immediate actions are having on people's lives. And what I mean by that is like in an execution squad, you don't know who has blanks and who has the actual bullets in order to not feel like you murdered someone directly, right? So it's kind of like that where that dude like literally does not comprehend that what he does, for the most part, is still bankrupting people on a daily basis.
Freedom. But you're still receiving information that has not been verified, that doesn't necessarily have the analytics to back it up.
So why does WebMD exist then? You're not going to a doctor, you're not verifying anything right now, but you're going and doing your own due diligence on why you might be sick or how you're feeling.
Of course, but you're doing it on actual factual information, disease.
Okay, that was a terrible argument, dude. What the fuck? Like, WebMD is not a fucking, WebMD is not a good substitute for doctors. WebMD is terrible, dude. What the fuck? What?
Diseases, anatomy, physiology, and you're not doing it based upon an artificially inflated market that can be influenced by so many different realms.
Right, but one of the things is with the Reddit forum, to me, it's just theory crafting. It's just people theory crafting their own due diligence and putting their opinion behind it. If someone takes that seriously and executes against it, the risk is on them to do that.
In this space here, I agree with you. But do you think your average consumer that's out there that is investing based upon this movement is doing that same due diligence, that has that same information?
Absolutely not. But at what point is it fair for me to be hindered on my acquiring of knowledge because someone else is choosing to be stupid, careless, and ignorant?
Wall Street Bets is a movement.
Oregon private equity deal teams are generally so detached from operations that we just see most people lose wage expenses on a balance sheet. And the most interaction we have with a company is a board meeting. There's an entirely different operations team. Yeah.
As is sort of my agenda here, I think Wall Street Bets is an incredible movement for raising awareness about a litany of unfair practices at the highest levels of the stock market. Number one, this whole GameStop thing started because of an illegal practice called naked short selling. I would say it's also a movement of crowdsourcing this enormous amount of investment knowledge and distributing it to an enormous pool of, there's 10 million subscribers now.
Do you think the 10 million actually get that knowledge?
No, not all of them, but...
I don't think 1% of them do. That's kind of my whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Like, I can't repeat, Ben, I love what you represent. I love it. But the fact of the matter is, like, your altruism doesn't actually hit the masses. I believe Wall Street Bets is a movement kind of like Nazism and communism and all these other bad movements.
Good.
I think it's a terrible movement. Yeah.
What the fuck? What? Bro, what did he just say, dude? That is... What the fuck? Whoa, that was a wild take.
Whoa, Nazism and
No,
communism. I have a lot of
I guess
qualms with being
we
put
kinda
in
had
one
more-
bucket.
We had more of a positive connotation with the movement. You drug it all the way over to another extreme.
Let me be completely candid. I was being facetious. I
Okay,
don't think it's
all
that
right, fair
bad. I don't
enough.
think it's that bad. I'm not okay with the fact that the main losers aren't the guys you're trying to like screw out of this like terrible, unethical practices.
Melvin Capital lost what?
But they immediately
$49
got bailed out by
billion.
Citadel.
And how many more giant conglomerate firms made bazillions of dollars while my good friends lost $1,000 here, $10,000 here? I don't want people like you guys, like us, losing money.
So I guess on a scale though, so you have this forum where people go around and pitch around decent ideas, whether great due diligence or absolutely none was done. And then you have, you remember a couple years ago, Wells Fargo creating the fake bank accounts? Like
terrible.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Why is there so much laser focus on accountability on this, ragtag crew of forums and absolutely nothing changed on the Wells Fargo spectrum?
I'm there with you.
Yo, these guys are so right though. Dude, that's the best part about Wall Street Bets is like, yeah, they're annoying. Yeah, they fucking like worship Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, they low key are like, they would love to be like institutional traders, right? If they had the opportunity for the most part. But my God, are they so correct whenever it comes to like the lack of regulation involved in big banks? They're so right. They literally are 100% on the money, completely correct, despite the fact that they like worship Elon Musk. I don't know if they still do, but it's just,
What's happening here?
yeah, they are the same type of people. Chatter is correct. They are the same type of people. They just didn't go to Ivy Leagues. Okay, that's it. That's the difference. They didn't go to fucking Stanford or Columbia or, Wharton. So they are just like, they're doing that from like a state school education level, which is still fine. But that's the big difference. If they had gone to like Harvard, then they would be fucking institutional traders right now.
Here is we're conflating two different things. Reddit is a forum and a platform that's aggregating sentiment. It is not one thing. Like a hedge fund with one goal is to make money off some niche is one thing. Reddit is just a collection of lots of different sentiments. Now, is that a movement in itself? No. Has it created byproducts that are exposing things that are maybe not in the investor's interest? I would say yes. And then another thing is Robinhood. Like, they're one of the genius of Robinhood has been they've gamified investing. And it's played into a narrative that isn't true, which people already have an inclination to interpret investing as gambling. And that's not what investing is about.
Right.
Right?
No, so I agree with
Exactly.
you. I agree
And
with you.
you know what, I 100% agree with you there. But if you look at what's going
2
on,
months sub,
the
great
amount
stream.
of risk that we have created just by these movements and allowing this type of influence to be made within our financial space, we don't even understand the repercussions of that.
But at the end of the day,
I think
the
that's-
underlying thing is earnings per share, revenue, how much money you can make. And come hell or high water, that's the game of the capitalistic free market systems.
But if it leads to the downfall and bankruptcy of companies or institutional investors and companies falling out, going into bankruptcy, what type of instability does that create?
Oh, shut the fuck up, dude. Fuck you. Oh my God, dude. Oh, okay. Yeah, good luck. Good luck getting the average Joe on your side with the point that you're making when, like, literally most average Joes would look at that and be like, fuck yeah, dude. You think this system has been kind to the average American, to the fucking layman that, like, only is loosely tied to the stock market by their 401ks? Motherfucker, there is no shot. You're like, they're going to start. I'm salivating now. Like I said, every time the Wall Street guy opens his mouth, I'm like, oh, great. Yeah. Fully on board with Wall Street bets to the moon. Fucking keep hodling AMC, baby. Like, oh, what kind of instability will you create by these, like, by trying to hurt these too big to fail institutions that we've literally created that that design the rules of the game so they can change it in every way they can. Of course, then you legitimize the talking point from the other side, which is like, we are trying to disrupt the system.
Within not only our local economic environment, but on a global scale.
Are you actually concerned that could happen and that would be catastrophic for the average American?
No, not for the average American, but I
months.
think the average American who is taking their stimulus package and investing it into GameStop. And
Okay, that's two separate things. That's bullshit. He literally, he straight up went back on his take. No, the original fucking admission was it's going to ruin, like, these big, these institutional traders, like, hedge funds or whatever, and that's going to disrupt the system because the system is, like, literally built by those hedge funds, and the system is literally built by Wall Street. And then as soon as he turned around, he's like, do you think that's actually going to happen? He's like, no, it's the average American I care about that's spending their stimulus package on, on holding and going to the moon. Why did you just do that? Why didn't you just say it with your chest and be like, yeah, I think that these big hedge funds and whatnot, if they were to be tampered with or tackled because of the way that the market is designed, it would hurt the entire economy. But he didn't even have the gall to say that, because the people across from him are going to be like, okay, well, even when the market's doing well, my life is still shit. My life is still dog shit. Like, I don't get nothing out of this. So fuck it.
and realistically doesn't have the funds to be genuinely investing, and they need to be building those capital assets. I think that's more what's at risk in this movement, and essentially what the problem is and the economic fallout.
Do you think, this is like a you question, like how much money was donated to the Fosse Gorilla Fund? Do you know, like, approximately?
Oh, I mean,
Not to like put you on the spot, because you're sure.
I believe it was in the millions, not
Right, like-
in the thousands.
Like, I would even argue, like, that donation alone, like, as someone who doesn't really like Wall Street Bets as a space, I would even argue, like, that alone was a movement of itself. not like a big, like not like, oh, like Occupy Wall Street, not Black Lives Matter, nothing like that. But like the fact is that people did turn around and were like, hey, like.
Bro, this argument literally is like, we don't want poor people to invest. So I kind of understand why the fuck Wall Street Bets feels the way that they do. Like those people feel the way that they do when they see like hoity-toity rich assholes. I don't care about what she's saying about the gorilla thing, but I'm still on that like other guy who was like, every argument from institutional traders like goes back to, you don't know any better. Let us handle it. Like, we'll lose your money for you. You're not allowed to lose it on your own. We'll lose it for you, and we'll charge you fucking pretty penny while we do it. It's so wild. It's so condescending. It's so silly. It makes me mad. Like, I do understand. When poor people invest, it throws off our investment algorithms. Please stop. You're not supposed to play the game the way like that. You're not supposed to play it like that. I feel like if you learned more, you would be on the side of the Reddit or hedge fund saboteurs. No, because they're not like... Because ultimately, it is not like any sort of legitimate sabotage, with the exception of like Melvin, okay? I do know the details. I do understand the details. This is kind of like the argument that neoliberal members of a marginalized community make when they're like, oh, well, now there's like one rich black person, and that's how we're going to defeat systemic racism. Do you understand? That's not how you defeat the system. Like, that's not how you change the system. It might feel, you might feel like excited to be able to take down Melvin Capital, which I'm fully on board with. You know, go off kings and queens. Okay? But like making like 11 Redditors millionaires, or making 1,000 Redditors millionaires, while I don't know, like 1 million more lose $100 or $1,000 here or there, while hedge funds are still making more money off of these sorts of moves, other hedge funds, maybe not Melvin Capital, but others, is not actually defeating the system, okay?
We said this is something that we're doing for good, and like here's a direct impact. The racial undertones and like ableism, I think, is a little iffy, and like Wall Street Bets pioneering gorillas as their mascot, I think, leads to a lot of icky moments. As someone who left Wall Street because someone black was called a gorilla, I think it's a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
Full circle moment. But like, I think even that you can be like, yeah, like there's underlying, we want to do good as a movement.
All investors should have access to the same type of tools and resources.
I wish I had the same information as those Congress people who went and sold all their stocks right before Trump announced the pandemic to the public.
Like, I can't hate on this guy. He's right. They might be annoying, but the Wall Street Bets guys, in a lot of instances, whenever they criticize Wall Street, are right, because Wall Street is demons, dude. They're fucking doing demon shit out there. But the solution isn't to, like, you know, I don't think the solution here is going to actually be trying to become a millionaire on your own through the same vehicle or through the same institutions, while maybe taking down one hedge fund, potentially.
Public.
Politics, political structure, I mean, level of information based upon national security, kind of hard to exchange when you're working within a government agency. If they made those moves, we can talk about the ethics of that later. The same information that you're...
Yeah, blind trust don't exist. It literally doesn't exist, guys. There is no way that politicians could, like, I don't know, have no say over what kind of money moves are made while they're in the process of doing politics and having access to information that is literally not available to the public, which is literally insider trading. Like, what they are doing is literally unethical and should be illegal, but unfortunately, there is laws against it being illegal. This dude is crazy, dude. I mean, that's crazy.
Trading houses had was the same information that was out there to the individual investor at that time.
Possibly.
I don't think, I disagree with that. I wholeheartedly believe in reality. We live in a plutocracy right now. Do you know what a plutocracy is?
I do.
So The government is controlled for and manipulated and used for by the wealthy. So I think there is a level of green privilege and plutocracy, and with having lots of money and power, there is certain information that's streamlined to people in higher positions than your average person. Therefore, all of the tools aren't being given to everyone equally on a playing field.
When it comes to what the institutional houses realistically have, when it comes to the information, the analytics, and the actual statistics that are out there and available, they are available to the general public.
Well, you say that, but then Enron would literally make calls to Wall Street and tell them to do blackouts in California, and they would manipulate the stock price, and then they would short it and buy it when it would dump it, when it would tank and go up. How can you sit there and go, that's an equal level of information being given to everyone?
Is that information? But is that information or ethics? It's essentially the same thing when you go.
Oh my God, I hate this guy. I hate this guy. Oh, come on, dude. Come on, you're getting rolled. You're getting rolled by a dude who learned talking points from a Reddit thread. Just hang it up. Just hang it up. Oh, is that ethics or information? Like, what are you talking about? It's the ethics of information distribution. Lost to a Redditor, by the way. Fucking absolutely rolled by a Redditor. You hate to see it, but also you love to see it.
Doctor, okay? Everything that he knows is accessible online to you. You can research it, you can WebMD it, you can actually buy the same medical books that he was there.
Correct.
Okay? At the end of the day, it's a matter of whether you're going to go in there and do the work.
But at the end of the day, it also matters about the timeline. If I take the time to do the due diligence, even though he has all that information, and it's the difference between getting the proper cancer treatment 2 weeks down the road or immediately, that's vital information that that person needed to know in order to get the treatment.
Exactly.
Trading is...
So you're highlighting that a subject matter expert should realistically have more access to the information in a more time-efficient manner than a layman.
Well, it's not time efficient. They just took the time to do it.
I see how you're positioning that.
What? The argument isn't about like whether fucking congresspersons should have information that's not privy to the public, dude. The argument is literally acting on that information. What the fuck is he saying right now? That is not like, what the fuck? Okay, the other dude got rolled because the other dude, or seemingly or functionally, is getting rolled because, like, I think he's just arguing on talking points that he learned off of Reddit. Whereas if he had like the groundwork and a solid foundation to launch these arguments off of, he could just literally turn around and be like, well, what you're saying is ridiculous. We're not having a conversation about whether fucking politicians should know things that the public doesn't have knowledge to. What we're saying is politicians shouldn't be able to act on said information by enriching themselves. No one is saying that like there shouldn't be classified information within like levels of government, or I don't know, in certain organizations.
But at the end of the day, if you're someone that has enough knowledge to utilize the information just as efficiently, why do I have to wait because you have a certification, or because you have a doctorate, or because you have higher education?
For the same reason you can't fly a plane. You're not qualified, you didn't do the work, you're not.
Oh my God, dude, it's not the fucking same, dude.
There. And
That's fine, but would you agree there's very terrible pilots and there's very good pilots?
Of course, there are, but they're all qualified, they're all certified, and they've all done the work to get there.
As per usual.
Yeah, that's precisely why Wall Street never fails.
Usual. I have so much to.
Yeah, thank God, you know. Dude, if pilots just kept exploding every plane like once every 4 fucking years, if no one would be flying, okay? Like absolutely no one would be flying on planes. Every 4 to 5 years, planes just explode. Like, it's not even a roll of the dice. You know that, like, you don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but, like, every 4 to 5 fucking years, you're just traveling all the time, back and forth. You're on a plane, and then every 4 to 5 years, every plane just blows up. Okay? No one would be flying in planes anymore. Okay? Or, rather, we would just say, what the fuck? We need to fix the situation. So this guy making a one-to-one comparison between like institutional traders versus pilots is psychotic.
To the moon.
Also, the irony of like comparing something as highly, like as fucking specific as like flying a plane with trading or playing a role in like whether it's like the analytics side or whatnot on like at a institutional trader is insane. Murat said planes don't crash because they're designed to not crash. It's not just because the pilots are good, but also because the planes are designed not to crash. Whereas the markets crash because that's a part of its design. He's right. It's fucking right, dude. Hey, thank you, Weird Panorama, for the 20 gifted subs. That's not true here in the U.S. When the pandemic hit, we kept schools open when it wasn't a question of it. But when students, families, and teachers would get sick, it was just written off as worth it. PC show started. Yeah, we'll watch it after we're done with it.
I was about to say, I can feel you. I can feel you over there.
Thank you. People do have equal access to information, and like I'm not against equitable information. I actually think that's like where I did agree. I don't agree that everyone should have the same tools.
Why not?
As someone who's like traded on a lot of those platforms, I don't think the average investor like needs to be making $1 million pars deals. And like if that platform is free, like people can't do that.
There's a degree of responsibility that we, being a little bit more informed, having more insight into the process, should take to protect our fellow man who doesn't have that same level of information.
Bro, they're literally fighting for their lives over here, okay? They're fighting for their lives over here because, in a way, like, it does threaten their existence. If retail traders can engage in this sort of, if retail traders can, like, move money and easily trade like institutions do, then, like, why the fuck would they go to, like, why would day traders just go and give their money to someone else who's like, no, I got this, bro. I swear. Does Mike come off condescending, or is it just me? I'm peanut brained. The problem is that these licensed professionals have over the past 2 decades taken immense leverage and risk far beyond the risk the retail investor takes because they know there are no consequences to failure anymore. Literally saying that they should be able to make millions of dollars while others can't for no reason other than the fact that they participate in the exact same tactics as r/Wall Street Bets. Yes, but they also got an education and a certification to be able to do so. That's it. They're just ahead of the game because they went to the right school and they got the right certification and worked through the ranks. So that's why they have the capability of making these like risky trades, or at least leveraging it with like, or hedging it with like less risky trades as well on top of the risky ones, which they certainly still do.
Same level of knowledge, because my concern is that the information that's being pushed is barbershop information,
right?
And we're pushing that as if it were legitimate, verified, valuable information.
In some cases, it's extremely well thought out research. In some cases,
sure, absolutely, but it's just dangerous. I know people personally, like my family has lost quite a bit of money because of barbershop information. If our approach is let's just deregulate everything.
Damn, bro, it seems like they don't fucking value your opinion. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker's like, sorry, you need to pay 5% for me to be able to give you financial advice. So I currently have no fiduciary responsibility to tell you where you can and can't fucking invest your money. So yeah, go off the barbershop information. It's like, why didn't you stop them then, dude?
Not care about who gets hurt, then a lot of people who don't have the same privilege of information and knowledge aren't.
They're coming across like they want to gatekeep who gets to manage the money, which is the truth. They do want that. And they're saying like, oh, it's really risky, when in fact, like what they do is really fucking risky as well, which is why I have the consistent position that it's all gambling. One is just like,
Hasan, you're great. I have to
you know,
admit, I'm
one is
seeing
just
you do the breakdown
the house
on
gives
TYT.
you the money. One is like a streamer that's getting backed by the actual house to gamble, and then their losses are covered. And the other is gambling with their own money, and their losses are certainly not covered. So the streamer gambler is like, come on, let me just keep gambling. Let me gamble with your money too, and I'll give you the fucking winnings. But if I lose it, it's whatever.
Going to approach it properly and ethically, or intelligently.
And so to the flip side of your coin, I come from a very fragmented familial situation. My mother and my father, they'll probably have to work until they die because they didn't fundamentally understand financial concepts to leverage themselves into a situation where they reach early retirement or financial freedom or whatever. But because there has been a huge amount of information made available to me, and I have actively made those choices, whether I find it through...
Dog, it's cringe when you call investing gambling. It's literally gambling.
Legalize marinara.
Investing is gambling. there are fundamentals that play into the gamble. But investing is literally gambling. You can say, no, it's not. It's straight up gambling. Anyway.
Wall Street Bets or wherever else, I've put myself in a very empowered position in order to achieve the end goal of an earlier retirement or financial freedom.
We're not looking to take away the opportunity at all. We're looking to just make sure people know what they're getting into. And I know, like, it seems like, well, you know, it's their fault if they get involved and they're not doing it correctly. But we have precautions all throughout society, whether it's, I mean, gun laws aren't exactly the best example, but like driver's licenses, you know, like people buy cigarettes.
At the end of the day,
before 18.
Suicides still happen, you know, and
Sure.
gun violence still happens.
But we still have.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, but like the annoying part about this is that like PhDs and people who have like studied math and all different kinds of things extensively go into this as though there is like an exact hard science to the market when there is none, because ultimately it still revolves around human behavior, and that is incredibly hard to fucking predict. You can try to normalize it. You can try to streamline it as best as you can. You can have the government back you as much as you can to stabilize it or to create a notion of stability in an effort to legitimize that system. But ultimately, it is still a bunch of dudes trying their very best to make the most effective to make the most effective investments, which is precisely why outperforming the market itself is oftentimes impossible over the course of what, like a decade. Okay? It is very difficult, if not completely impossible, to outperform the market. That was at the heart of Warren Buffett's argument as well, or Warren Buffett's bet as well with all these hedge funds. If you are able to outperform the market, you are very lucky, okay? But it's not going to always happen. Yeah, so buy market index funds. I mean, yeah, that's why I'm saying that's like super low risk gambling, because that's literally associated with like the government falling apart in its entirety, which can happen.
Precautions, we have tools to protect those people.
But at the end of the day, can you go represent yourself when you purchase your home? Do you have to have a real estate agent?
No.
No, but you don't have to have a real
So why are we putting such a focus and emphasis on you have to be this professional to use XYZ?
But you do have to have a real estate agent, don't you? I thought it was like illegal to just like buy it on your own. Pretty sure you have to have like a real estate agent sign it. In LA you do. Wait, in California you do.
Hasan, what do you think of BB?
No, we
we
legally have to in California have like a. Are they talking about selling your own home, or are you talking about fucking? In certain places, I'm pretty sure in order to purchase a house, you have to have a real estate agent.
3 meses contigo Arjan Takiero.
No, you don't. Buying and selling on your own is legal. People do sell by owner. The person buying the property doesn't use a real estate agent.
Ever heard of someone like representing themselves in court and everyone being like, that is a great plan?
Right, and that's a good example. I statistically, would I represent myself in court? No. But do I have the option to? Yes.
But like, you have the option.
That's what
you
I
have
want.
the option to be in these systems. Like, we're not saying that that's not true. But like, there is things that come with being licensed and being a professional in a space.
Shorting stocks is a legitimate and fair practice.
Guys, look at us. Being
Is there
pals.
even anything to say?
Well,
I was trying to think of an example where it would be considered not a fair practice.
It's no different than going out into nature and watching something that's sick and dying get eaten by lions. Like, that's just part of the process.
But I think naked short selling was has been restricted since like 2014 or something.
Yeah.
Like, so that's kind of out of the market.
like if you're gonna call it naked shorts, I think you have to call it a lot of other like Wall Street practices. And I think a lot of these things are like
Good, yes.
like
Yes, let's do
like,
that.
as you should
You're
be-
absolutely not
like
wrong.
as you should be doing, but like I think to be like it's just naked shorts. We've identified like the issue, and it's
Like,
like
that's the hard
like
point.
I
That is
would
yeah.
like let's not.
A lot of the outrage was generated by this feeling that predatory short sellers were trying to put GameStop out of business prior to the time when it would naturally die. When predatory short sellers engage in naked short selling to put a company out of business, there's nothing natural like a lion killing a deer about that. That is.
But they're not going after companies like Amazon.
Right, like-
they're going
Like,
after companies that clearly the fundamentals are looking a little shaky.
GameStop is a brick and mortar retail video game seller.
People on Reddit see the future of GameStop very much as a new company, as a company with a new vision that will be modeled after Chewy and will be more internet-based and less brick and mortar based.
Right, but like, why? I just don't think that many people have enough understanding even to be like doing this remotely responsibly.
What is good?
The damage done to hedge funds by Wall Street Bets was deserved.
There have been a lot of celebrities who have chimed in on the GameStop and AMC short squeezes, and one of them struck a chord with me, which was one of the Shark Tank guys, Kevin O'Leary. He said, if you're stupid enough to short a stock over 100%, then you deserve whatever happens to you. I am delighted to see them pay financially for playing dirty in the most important game in the universe, which is the game of American capitalism.
Your call.
He's right.
Fair enough.
I like this guy.
Keep changing it up.
I started immediately like identifying with it, and I haven't been able to properly articulate why yet, but initially in my gut, I heard the word deserved. I don't agree with that word. That's why I didn't come to the table.
I also tried to ask myself, did they deserve? That's like saying, does any investor deserve the risk they're taking?
And I think a lot of people get behind the initial statement that was said was because this is very much turned into a David and Goliath narrative.
But that's the thing.
Wait.
It's a narrative.
Correct.
We say like deserve, not deserve, but the question is what damage?
Wait, that was my, like,
Right.
that was the
Yeah.
word that I'm hung up on. Is like, what damage do we really think happened to hedge funds?
It's a symbolism as, look, you guys all had this cushy job, you had billions you were managing, now you don't, some of you are out.
Do you really think there was a lot of squirming? When you look at the people that were really
I love the word deserved.
invested in that company, do you think they really took the losses that you think they did? Or do you think they're riding that golden parachute laughing at the narrative that's going out?
There's other repercussions besides just the losses on AMC and GameStop, which would be an enormous amount of public pressure on the SEC to enforce the rules that they already have that have been poorly enforced. That is potentially a repercussion that will affect the day-to-day lives of hedge funds.
Now you're speaking my language, because when you talk about it like we've already won the war, that's when I'm like,
Now your
first of all,
segues have
I'm
no
kind of on
meaning
your
to me.
side, and moreover, when we're like, oh, we made him square and we're winning here, I'm like, no, you haven't even started the game.
I think that there's about 10 million Redditors who are going to hang on to this forever. And a lot of us are motivated by the grudge we still feel from the lack of justice during the 2008 fiasco, let's call it.
Yeah,
one guy went to jail after the collusion that led to the mortgage-backed security crisis. It's hard to pin the idea that people involved in the mortgage-backed security crisis were aware.
Dude, he's so right, dude. He's right.
Aware that what they were doing at every point along the way was going to lead to a global financial crisis and deaths of poverty. But if you could prove that, I would say they would be guilty of mass murder.
I just don't think people care.
But essentially, how many people still care about that issue
Right.
today?
What Wall Street
What? Dude, these guys suck, dude. How many people still care about that, dude? Come on. What? I don't know. I think a lot of people do, man. That's kind of fucked up. Come on, bro. It happened in like 2008. This is a long time ago, bro. Come on. It's been... What that Wall Street investor is doing is it happened a long time ago method, where you say something doesn't matter if it happened a long time ago.
Bets did, the exposures and the blind spots in our financial system in a whole. There are a few.
Of course.
What you have to do is, well, let's take a few. What we have to do is you have to understand what those are, and you have to...
Dude, imagine saying that to like a group of people who entered the workforce after it happened, either immediately after or a couple years after. Like, those guys are old enough to have suffered the consequences of like being a part of the workforce in the post 2008 like market crash. Even that alone is just so out of touch and so stupid. Come on, nobody cares, bro. What the fuck?
Mobilize, and you have to create a situation where there's actual change on the books. If you just hold GameStop, it's not going to change
Motherfucker
anything.
should have turned around and been like, you know, something happened on the 11th of September a long time ago. Do you not care about that? Like, what was that? I can't even remember. What was that? Just ask that question.
This was an illustration of some of the blind spots, and it has to mobilize into a more social event in terms of representatives and leaders that say, you know what, there are some things that the financial institutions have a blind spot on, and we have to do some reforms.
You definitely have the communication tool and the movement and passion to do so, but realistically, there's a staying power.
I guarantee you that I personally have the power to hold a grudge for the rest of my life.
I respect that. I feel that.
I'm right there with you.
I feel that.
And I believe there's about 10 million Redditors who equally are going to hold this grudge, maybe not forever,
I
but
think
for
you're
a very
too
long
smart.
time.
I think you're too smart and too engaged.
Well,
Like, I think that's the issue with like this group of people.
You're going to have to take that grudge and mobilize it into actual social change, and that comes from leadership,
Right.
and that comes from new elected officials. So you got.
He's right. That dude is right. That's
You got
correct.
to crosswalk
He's right.
that into actual stuff.
All right.
Shake, we did it.
He's fucking right. I wish they would though, but I don't think it's happening. And Wall Street Bets isn't about social change. I mean, it's not. It's not supposed to be. I don't really care that it isn't either. Like, but when I call it out, people get mad at me.